I'm Phil from Chico. That is my stage name. I used to go by my full name, and then my dad saw me perform once and asked me to stop, so I had to figure something out. So I go by Phil from Chico on stage. I'm a stand-up comedian here in New York City. Chico's a smaller town, and before I moved out here, I'd been doing this comedy thing for a little bit, and people had started to recognize me around town, like strangers, for doing comedy. And I always like that. I like it when people recognize me, because every time a stranger recognizes me, it gives me an opportunity to fuck with a complete stranger, and I like doing shit like that. Like somebody would come up to me like, hey, you're Phil from Chico, dude, you're really funny. I'd be like, actually, I'm not Phil from Chico, but I heard that dude's a racist, and I just walk away. I love doing shit like that. It's funny, I don't know. If you have a lot of friends, it's pretty easy to get stage time. They have these things called bringer shows here and everywhere, I guess, where if you bring a certain number of audience members, you'll get stage time guaranteed. If you don't have a lot of friends, if you're a kid from California and moved to New York City by yourself, it can be a little rough. You have to start by going to open mics every day. You form connections doing that. What a lot of people do, what I actually did, was I started working at a comedy club as a barback, and through that I started getting more and more stage time. That really helped me. But yeah, it's mostly about making networking and making connections with people, and hey, do you want to do my show? And then they'll have you on your show and things like that. It's a very give and take system, and it can take a long time if you're not willing to be a little flexible. Sometimes I don't like it when people recognize me. One time I was in the grocery store and a girl ran up to me and she was like, hey, you're the guy who's always going through my trash cans. That sucked. Actually, there's two real specific situations I don't like as far as being recognized. The first one is when the person recognizing me is a police officer. I never like that. I was walking home one night and a police officer was driving past, and as he drove past, I stumbled a little bit because I was high on ecstasy. And he stopped and he put his spotlight on me. He said, hey buddy, are you okay? And I said, yes sir, officer, I'm just walking home. And he said, all right, what's your name? I said, my name is Derek. He said, no it's not, you're Phil from Chico. I said, oh shit. He was right, I was me the whole time. It's harder for some than it is for others. Some people are, lucky financially. Some people are able to commit all their time to comedy because money isn't a super big concern for them, whether they get it from their parents or whoever. Some people were smart enough to go to college and get their degree and get a good job to where they can work 9 to 5 at a computer and then go out and do comedy every night. Very smart. That's the smartest way to do it until you're at a point where you can just do comedy. That is the best way I've seen it done. Me, on the other hand, I'm an idiot. I work construction 8 hours a day, and then after my construction job, I get on stage. And I have slept many a time right here on this couch, in between shows, in between my job and getting on stage. And every now and again, if nobody's paying attention, I will sleep here overnight and go to work in the morning. I got in trouble for that a couple weeks ago, actually. It was a good time. Back to the story, this police officer just recognized me, Phil from Chico, comedian. Guess what he asked me to do? Guess. He asked me to make him a cheeseburger. It's really weird. He asked me to tell him a joke. And I was feeling pretty bold at the time. So I said, all right, officer, I heard a joke you might like. How many police officers does it take to screw in a light bulb? He said, I don't know. How many? I said, I don't know either. Police officers usually just beat the room up for being black. I went to jail. And that's how that story ends. That's how that story ends. I wake up at 6 a.m. every day to get out to Queens by 7:30 to catch a ride to the job site and start work by 8. Then I work from 8 to 4:30, and then it takes me about 2 hours to get back into Manhattan. And then I do sometimes 4 or 5 shows a night, and my last show can start at midnight. And I won't get home until 2:33 in the morning, and then 5:36 I'm up again doing that again.
I can be a little racist. I don't know if you've noticed. I can be a little racist, but I'm honest about my racism, and I'm an equal opportunity racist. Like, I totally judge white people on their stereotypes too. Like, this might not work here. No, I'm just realizing that. I'm gonna do it. No, like, a friend of mine sent me an email the other day, and in the email there was a video, and the title of the video was "White Lady Beats the Shit Out of Black Lady." And before I even watched the video, I was like, no, she didn't.
Anywhere there's a scene, it's competitive. There wasn't, when I started, there was no scene in Chico, like, at all. There was literally nothing. And there was like a core group of guys who kind of created a scene together. And by the time I left, the scene had gotten pretty big, and since I've been here, it's just gotten bigger. And some of those core group of guys aren't friends anymore because of that competitive shit that goes on in comedy. I'm not one for that stuff. I'm more focused on being friends with anybody than I am focused on being better than anybody, you know what I mean? But I do want to be the best comedian. I do want to be the funniest person on the show and in the world, really.
I'm not good at talking dirty in bed or on the subway. I realized this because my ex-girlfriend was amazing at talking dirty. She would always say the sexiest shit, and I'd always like ruin the mood with the dumb shit I would say. I don't know if that's ever happened to anybody else. Like, we'd be having sex, and she'd look at me, and she'd say something super sexy like, "Ooh, Poppy, you want to come in this pussy?" And I'd say something stupid like, "No."
It takes heart, takes tough skin, because people are gonna say no to you a lot, and I don't care how funny you are or how funny you think you are. Everybody bombs. Everybody has bad shows. The point is to have less and less bad shows until you get to a point where even your bad shows, people laugh. They just aren't laughing as much as you know they could. So it's like, it's weird. It's like levels. You graduate eventually. When you start, you're gonna have shows where nobody laughs. People might even boo you, shit like that. You start getting funnier, you start getting better. Eventually, you get to a point where you do a show and people are laughing the whole time, and you get off stage, you're like, that wasn't as good as it should have been. And in your mind now, that's a bomb now. You know, it like progresses.
I was drinking with this girl the other night, and we were playing Truth or Dare, because she's still in high school. And I'm playing. That's a joke. She's not in high school. She's 16, but she dropped out. Anyways,
It's harder in New York City to be a comedian than anywhere else because this is where the funniest people in the world are. They're not in LA, they're not in Chicago. I don't care what anybody says. The stand-up comedy scene in New York City is the most talent-filled, it's the most dense talent pool as far as stand-up concerned is in the world. This is where you come to get really, really good. You know, you come to New York, there's like a saying, you come to New York to get funny. Once you become funny, you go to LA to get on TV. That's kind of the thought process. Because California in general is a pretty laid-back state. People are generally in a good mood in California. New York City's kind of the opposite. Everybody's on top of each other, everybody's hustling every day. So in California, audiences are like, hey man, I'm here to have fun, you know, laid back, ready to have a good time. New York audiences are more like, all right, make me laugh, bitch. You know what I mean? So you come out here and you do good, you've got something going for you.
Clap if you heard this shit about the Washington Redskins. Like the name controversy. For those of you who don't know, NFL team Washington Redskins, a lot of people, a lot of white people, think that they should change their name because Redskins is offensive to Native Americans. You know what names I think are a little more offensive to Native Americans? Names like the Cowboys and the 49ers and the Patriots and the Vikings, because those are the dudes who killed all the Native Americans. Why is that okay?
My end goal is to just tour most of the year, make my money, spend it the other half or whatever of the year, hang out with my friends and my family, and then go back on the road and get more money, and just kind of that. Eventually, I guess, make enough money to retire, but I really like doing stand-up, so I don't even, retiring, that doesn't seem like something I'd ever do, you know? I really see myself doing this forever until I die, so.
All right, guys, Bill from Chico, I'll see y'all later.